The MLB Gambling Podcast on the Sports Game Podcast Network is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Underdog is giving away $15 million in Best Ball Mania 5. Sign up with the promo code MLB SGPN to claim your first-time deposit offer of $200 in bonus cash on Underdog Fantasy. Promo code MLB SGPN. We're also brought to you by Rhythm. Rhythm has the best AI picks and projections, and their college football product is about to drop. Claim your 7-day free trial today by going to sportscampodcast.com, rhythmsportscampodcast.com/RITHMM. And welcome, everybody, to the MLB Gambling Podcast here on the Sports Game Podcast Network. It is currently Thursday afternoon, roughly 5 p.m. Eastern Time on July 25th. I'm your host of this episode, Scott Reichel, once again joined by Dylan. We have deja vu, because we did the same exact combo yesterday, and knock on wood, hopefully our picks come through for Thursday and for Friday. Dylan, nice to see you again. How's it going?
Nice to see you, Scott. Yeah, I mean, you said you weren't going to be on, but look, we got you right back here, and we had some good games yesterday. Mets, they blew out the Yankees, so it's good to see that, and we saw a no-hitter today, so that was pretty cool.
Yeah, definitely so. Unfortunately, McNeil, well, we'll see what happens with
We'll
McNeil,
see. We'll see, yeah.
We'll see. Either way, though, I know Lindor had a crazy game yesterday. The Yankees are still in free fall. Besides that, though, I ended up losing my dog because the Tigers scored 1 run in the first inning and didn't score after that. They lost 2-1. What a shame. Flaherty looked good. That was from the previous episode. Ended up splitting there. Had the over in the Red Sox game. That cash before we actually went live on the show yesterday because they had about, 12 runs in the first 4 innings, and the Rockies finished with 20. As for today, another sweat-free winner for the lock. I had the Padres first 5, a minus half a run, a minus 122, and Cease threw a no-hitter. So can't really complain. They scored 3 in the first, and then after that, nothing happened the rest of the game. But Cease ended up pitching another gem. His last 3 starts, he's allowed 2 hits combined.
Insane.
2 hits combined in his last 3 starts. So, yeah, Cease got the job done for me. Hopefully, I end up getting the dog later. And we'll see what happens there. But, yeah, Dylan, so far, how's your Thursday going?
It's going all right. We're, like we said, off air, Taj Bradley, really good. So we're getting there with the Rays on the money line for us. Baltimore team total went over. I think it went over in the first inning. I mean, you almost had it with Santerre. I saw the box score, and I was like, oh, I wish he would have put it. But
I was torn between Gunnar and Santander, and I picked the wrong guy.
Real quick, you mentioned Lindor having a really good game. Do you think, I know Shohei is obviously the favorite, but he has to have some votes, right, Lindor? For MVP?
I feel like he's in the Heisman Trophy invite spot, where he's got no chance to win, but he's invited to the ceremony. That's kind of how I feel about it, where he's going to be a finalist, and if you look at like past like baseball reference pages, it'll have a nice like 3 or 4 next to MVP by Lindor's page, but he's not winning. It's going to go to Ohtani. Like, I understand that he's had a great season, but what Ohtani's done is kind of insane. And I feel like you'd probably still put Harper ahead of him because Philly is right now the best team in the league record-wise. Mm-hmm. So I'm assuming that he'd finish probably in 3rd or 4th. Is that fair?
Yeah, and that's what the odds have him at, 27-1 right now at 3rd. Ohtani's minus 490, and Bryce Harper's at plus 550. So, yeah, I would agree.
490 speaks for itself, doesn't it?
Yeah,
I mean, I feel like it's kind of
biased aside, I just thought like you said, like he deserves to be in the consideration and maybe get a vote here or there. But Shohei's definitely gonna win it.
And of course, you can make the argument about defense and how he's an elite shortstop and how that should factor in. It doesn't factor in. Yeah. I can't think of when they've ever cared about defense for an MVP. However, the only time it actually would matter is when they used to hold it against DHs who would actually win the award because they don't play the field. I don't know if that went away, that stigma, or how exactly that worked out, but yeah, for some reason that just has not been a factor recently, or at least for this year, because that used to be a big thing. I remember with like David Ortiz and some other guys, they DH'd half the time, and it would kind of be held against them. And I don't think that's really the case anymore, is it?
I don't think so at all, honestly. So what
Edgar
about
Martinez was another guy?
What about Dylan? We brought out Dylan Cease real quick. Before the game, 50-1 for Cy Young. Now he's 36-1, 4th behind Paul Skeens, Zach Wheeler, and Chris Sale. Chris Sale's at plus 140. Any value on Dylan Cease? I know he's been awesome so far, but is it too much ground to cover?
Well, Trevor's saying it was 50-1 last night, and now it's down to about, what do you say it was, 20-1, 25-1?
36-1.
36-1, okay. I mean, I don't hate it. If he leads the NL in strikeouts, then he'll lead in the category. I know strikeouts don't exactly matter that much, but the point is at least he'll lead something. The problem you run into involves the actual market, because I don't know who cares about the Padres. The fact remains, I'm not saying Skeens is going to win the award, but every single thing he does is broadcasted on ESPN 5 times over. And I feel like Cease, even with his last 2 starts, he gave up 2 hits combined in his last 2 starts. Threw a no-hitter today. I don't think anybody was talking about Cease before today, which tells you how little people care about San Diego. So I think it actually does depend on market in some aspects. And for the Padres, they might be a wildcard team. They might not. They got no shot at the division based on the Dodgers. So I think the market matters. Wheeler's in a big market. He also was incredible a couple days ago. It wasn't a no-hitter, but he was phenomenal against Minnesota. You mentioned Skeens before. He has a lot of hype too. I think Cease will also be in the running, and 36-1 is not terrible. I feel like he needs to go on, in order to get people to care about it, like a CC Sabathia second half run with the Brewers.
Yeah.
Like, I think he has to go on an insane historic run, and he's done that the last 3 starts. But the fact remains, the only reason why the media is talking about him is because he threw a no-hitter.
Yeah.
And
that's the unfortunate part. Yeah.
It's the unfortunate part, but it's the reality situation. He plays in San Diego. Nobody cares. And we'll see how he does the rest of the season. I would probably price him closer if I had to at like 20-1, 18-1. So
there is some value with him.
I would take 36. I think 36 has value to it. But if you're asking me, do I think at the day of the voting, is he going to win? Probably not. But I think you can make an argument that the path is open. If he goes on a Blake Snell run from last year for the last 2 months of the season, August, September, as an ERA of like 1.8, sure, I think he's in the running. Why not?
And let's just say, because Braves haven't been playing the best baseball. I know Chris Sale's off to he has had an amazing season, but if he tails off a little bit, I think there's some wiggle room that Dylan Cease could pick up. But I would still give the advantage to Zach Wheeler and Paul Skeens.
Well, the Braves have a problem with Sale in general, because they've already been pushing back some of his starts, and we know he has an injury history. So I do wonder if the Braves keep cutting back on his innings, and if they keep trying to handle him with extra care, then he might automatically be eliminated from the Cy Young race, because they're going to try to preserve him for the playoffs. Ironically, the Braves might not make the playoffs. It's a separate story. But I do think I have to at least bring it up. I don't consider Sale a serious Cy Young candidate. Maybe it's a hot take, but I really just expect the Braves to handle him with basically oven mitts. Is that a fair statement?
Yeah, 100%.
So there you go. But props to Cease for throwing the second no-hitter in Padres history. And I guess props to me for giving out the first 5 minus a half, and that was never in doubt. Anyway, before we get into any of the actual games for Friday, we have a full 15-game slate. Do want to remind you once again that we do have some other featured shows for the network. Of course, it's the baseball show, MLB Gambling Podcast, which is the featured show this week, but I'm not going to plug our own show because we're here, so you obviously know about it. But we have the college football experience, which is also covering a bunch of teams, all the teams in D1 for college football, 134 teams, which sounds exhausting. Subscribe wherever you do get your podcasts and the SGPN app. Also, a reminder that we are brought to you by Underdog Fantasy, because they just launched their Underdog Streaks. Hit your first 2 pick'em entries and then go streaking. If you get an 11-0 run, you win 1,000 times your money. Plus, Best Ball Mania is alive with $15 million in prizes. You can now use specials and boosts on all flex entries. I'll probably use my next entry, or one of them, with Dylan Cease hits allowed lower, because why not? Giving up 2 hits in his last 3 starts combined. Maybe the strikeouts for Cease as well moving forward. He has been an absolute monster. Either way, though, keep that in mind. You can use Olympic stuff as well. A lot of options for Underdog. And a reminder that if you do sign up, use the promo code MLBSGPN to claim your special pick and your first and deposit offer up to $2 in bonus cash on a fantasy promo code MLBSGPN. We're also brought to you by Game Time. I don't know about all of you, but I personally love attending sporting events, at least when the Yankees were good. Maybe not so much anymore. But Game Time is now an authorized ticket marketplace of Major League Baseball, which makes getting tickets a lot easier and faster. Prices on the Game Time app actually go down closer to first pitch. They have great last-minute deals, all-in prices, views from your seats, and their lowest price guarantee. Game Time takes the guesswork out of buying MLB tickets. My favorite feature, I just mentioned, is the image of the seat you use, which is really useful, because I'm sure you've all been there before. You've had a spot where you have gotten a seat that you think is going to be a very solid one, and then you realize that there's an obstruction, a pole, something in your line of view, which you did not account for, and now suddenly your seat is a waste of money. That will not happen with Game Time, because they give you an option to see the projected view you would be getting from your seat before you actually buy your ticket, which is definitely a nice feature that I use all the time. A reminder, though, that you should take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use code SGPN for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply again, create an account, redeem code SGPN for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. Last minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. Welcome back, everyone, to the MLB Gambling Podcast. Just finished recapping what happened briefly for Thursday, including Cease's no-hitter. Now it's time to move on to the actual slate, starting off with the first game on the card. You have the Guardians taking on the Phillies, and for this one, you have Lively taking on Sanchez. For the money line, you have Philly at around minus 175, give or take, and the Guardians are around plus 145. For the over-under in this game, you have 8.5 or 8. Sanchez, we know, is a great pitcher at home. Not so much on the road, but he's at home here, and Lively's been serviceable so far this season. Cleveland, of course, burned me with the dog pick for Detroit while only scoring 2 runs. Then they didn't score again on Thursday. So everything I said about this team was correct. I still lost money, but this team can't hit. So I like the under in this game. I think 8.5 is way too high.
I'm actually going to take the over 8. I see 8.5, like you said. I made my total 8.8. I do have the Phillies favored up to a minus 150, so maybe some value here with the Guardians. Like you said, Christopher Sanchez, he's been great at home this season, 6-1, 150 ERA. Batters only hitting 214 off of him. And Ben Lively, I think he's just been very inconsistent, especially on the road. He's just not someone I really want to back. 2+ runs given up in 4 straight road games. Guardians, they're 1-3 in those starts as well. And I think the Phillies offense, they have to be better. I do expect both clubs to get going. They have to turn the cold shoulder eventually somehow. So haven't had a lot of overs here recently. Been kind of cold out of the All-Star break, but I do think this might be a good spot for the bats to get going. So I'm actually going to be on the other side, over 8, but nothing like confident, I would say.
Yeah, so I actually feel decent about the under because I just don't think Cleveland can hit. I think this lineup is right now in shambles, and I think Lively is decent enough to not get destroyed. Cleveland does have a good bullpen, so I'm going to lean to the under there. Would lean to Philly, though. I want no part of Cleveland with how this team's been hitting lately. Moving on to the next game, you have a matchup between 2 AL Central teams. You have the Twins taking on the Tigers. The money line in this one is, right now, Minnesota is about minus 178, give or take, and you're looking at Detroit being around plus 150. And for the pitching matchup, you have Lopez against Montero. Now, Lopez has been underwhelming this season, but he's been a lot better than Montero. Montero's 1-3, a 5.97 ERA. Minnesota did not exactly have a great series against Philly, did end up salvaging the last game in a walk-off fashion, but I still don't like the current form. Detroit's been fine. Do I like the offense? Not at all. Do I like Lopez? No. Do I like Montero? No. So I'm kind of in a rock and a hard place. I'm in between them because I don't know what I actually like for this matchup. But Lopez has been very good recently. He has allowed 3 runs in his last 2 starts combined. He has allowed less than 3 earned runs in, let me just do the math quickly, 5 his last 7. So he's been shoving recently. I think I have to lean to Minnesota in this one. Maybe Minnesota first 5. I think Detroit's going to struggle a bit against Lopez, who's been good lately. But I do think this price is pretty heavy. I'll fade Montero. Give me the Twins first 5 minus half a run.
I'm going to go on the other side again. I think there's value here with the home dog plus 150.
There might be for the full game. I just don't. I'll just take Lopez early.
Yeah, I only made the Twins a minus 130. Like you said, Pablo Lopez, he's just too inconsistent for me. I think that, like you said, the Tigers, they've been playing some competitive baseball recently. Even in their losses, they're just losing 1 run. They're losing by 1 run in their last 3 losses. They won again today. I think if Montero can have a similar start to his last one against the Twins, I think the Tigers are live here, especially with the way they've been hitting the ball. He only gave up 2 runs in 6 innings of work. Tigers actually won that game as well. And like you said, with the other side, Pablo Lopez, he just hasn't really had the best July ever since punching out those 14 batters. He's kind of really fell off a little bit. So giving up a ton of runs, hard contact. Tigers they're actually playing not bad baseball. So after a long road trip coming home, I think they could be live. So plus 150, I'll take the value here with the Tigers.
All right. Moving on to the next game on the slate. Looking at the matchup between the Reds and the Rays. Rays are currently up by a ton. They're up 12-0, but unfortunately for the Blue Jays, there is no mercy rule in Major League Baseball. For this game, though, you have Lodolo taking on Baz, however you want to pronounce it. The Reds are minus 105. The Rays are minus 115. And the over-under in this game is at 7.5. Baz has been fine this season. I don't think his stuff is that great, and he's got command issues, but he's been not. I'll put it this way: his WHIP is massive. So the guy's on base all the time. His WHIP's 1.76, but his ERA is pretty low. Did walk 5 guys though against the Yankees last time out, so command's been an issue. He goes no length. Lodolo's been solid recently. He does give up some home runs, but we know the strikeout stuff is filthy, and we do know that the Reds are actually better on the road than at home. Not by a lot. They're 1 under on the road, but that means they are 3 under at home, doing the math quickly. Lodolo, though, is better on the road, a 2.84 ERA on the road. Has not been amazing lately, though. He has allowed at least 3 runs in 3 of his last 4 starts, allowed at least 4 runs in 2 of his last 3. I think Lodolo's the better pitcher, but I actually do agree with the line. I don't think there's much separating these teams. I think it's a pure stay away from me, but I think I am going to actually lean to the over in this game. I think both teams can score. Baz, I don't think, is that great, and Lodolo's got great stuff, but he's been giving up some runs, and I think you might end up seeing a little bit of run support in this matchup. 7.5, though, I think is a bit low for this number. I'll go with the over.
Yeah, I'm going to take a shot here with the Rays at home, minus 108. I agree with the line. I made the Rays a minus 115 favorite. I still don't like backing the Reds on the road, even though they have been playing better recently. I think Baz, he's been all right. Small sample size, but, in his 3 starts, I think he's been serviceable. I know a lot of people love Nick Lodolo, but he hasn't really been the best in the month of July. 10 runs given up in 14 innings. Rays, they hit lefties pretty well. I know we talked about their lineup not being good, but we just saw them burst out for 10, 11 runs today. So I think this is a good spot for the Rays at home. I think they are the better team right now. So I will take the Rays here to keep it rolling.
Yep. Naturally, we can keep it rolling. Moving on to the next game, you have the Padres taking on the Orioles. Padres might be a bit hungover from the no-hitter celebrations. We'll see. For this one, though, both teams already finished their games, so no real travel issues there. You have undecided against Rodriguez, so we have no lines for this matchup because we don't know who's pitching for San Diego. What do you know is that the entire bullpen's available, so there's that. Rodriguez, though, has been solid this season, 12-4, a 3.83 ERA, going through the last couple of starts for him. He has been fine for the most part. He got shelled with the Yankees, but besides that, he has allowed less than 4 runs in at least 4 of his last 5. Let me just see that. Yeah, 4 of his last 5. The issue is he has a couple of blow-up starts, but that's pretty few and far between. So I feel like his ERA at 3.83 is actually kind of misleading because he's usually very solid. He just has a couple outings where he gives up like 7 runs in 4 innings, and that kind of ballooned his ERA up. But he's been good. San Diego, though, has been in good form. They have won 5 straight, just swept the Nationals. I don't have a price. I'll tell you right now that the Orioles did not look good against Miami, and they almost blew a massive lead in that game on Thursday, held on to win. I think I'm going to lean to San Diego. I don't know who's pitching for this team, but I do think Baltimore will be favored. And after watching whatever that was against Miami over the past couple days, and what I've seen from the AL East as a whole for the last couple of weeks at this point, I don't trust Baltimore. And I think they're going to be laying a decent price. So I'll go with San Diego.
Yeah, Scott, I think it's going to be Michael King going for the Padres. And
I definitely want the Padres because King's incredible.
King's been incredible, especially on the road. I think he has, let me just see. I just had it in front of me. 267-2 on the road. Batters only hitting 215 off of him. I love it. And I like Grayson Rodriguez as well. I think he's been okay, but they've kind of been so inconsistent and up and down. I really don't want anything to do. And I expect the books to make the Orioles a big time favorite. If it is King, like I said, I only made the Orioles a minus 125 favorite. I think the Padres keep it rolling. They're playing some really good baseball right now. They're better on the road, surprisingly, than at home. So I think the bats continue to roll. And like you said, they had this big lead. They almost blew it again today. I don't want nothing to do with the Orioles right now. I agree. I'm going to be on the Padres.
So assuming it is King, I want to give you a trivia question. Yeah. Out of King's last 10 starts, how many of them has he allowed more than 2 runs?
10 starts.
10 starts. How many times has he allowed 3+ runs? Earned runs.
I think this is a trick question, so maybe none, maybe 1?
The answer is 1.
1.
He's allowed 2 or less in 9 of his last 10 starts.
And who was it against?
It was against Milwaukee on June 23rd. But his last 4 starts, he's allowed a total of 4 runs.
And that was at home, you said?
That was at home.
Oh,
So to go through the
even
last
better on the
couple road starts that he's had,
Yeah.
7 innings, 1 run against Cleveland, 5 1/3, 1 run against Texas, 6 innings, 1 run against Baltimore, 4 2/3, but only 1 run against Philly. That was actually only 1 run in general, not even earned, but his pitch count was pretty high. Against Kansas City, 7 innings, 1 run on the road, and then 6 2/3, 3 runs against the Reds back in May. I can go back even further, though. 6 innings, no runs against the Diamondbacks. So, yeah, he's been amazing on the road, amazing in general, and King has been really, really good. So I like San Diego anyway for the value, but King has been just incredible. And I backed him on Sunday against Lively at the first 5 under, and he had a no-hitter through, I think it was 5. So, yeah, give me the under in this game, and I will go with the Padres as well, assuming I like the Padres anyway, but if King's pitching, I'm definitely going to be on the Padres in this one. Moving on to the next game on the slate. You have a matchup between the Rangers and the Blue Jays. For this one, the line is pretty, I'd say, even. But Toronto technically a favorite about -120. You have the Rangers at even money. And for the over-under in this game, you have the line being set at around 8.5 or 8. Pitching matchup, you have Kikuchi going up against Heaney. So you have 2 lefties who I don't think are very good going against each other. But for this one, Toronto is still getting destroyed right now, 12-0. As for Texas, they ended up beating the White Sox 2-1. But I do want to ask you, because I don't really trust either of these teams, but I do think Texas is better than Toronto, despite being really bad on the road. Coin flip, tails never fails. Give me the Rangers.
Yeah, I agree. This is a weird angle. It was a weird game to handicap, but I'm going to take the Rangers in the first 5. Andrew Heaney, I feel like he's been really solid his last 5 starts. Much better.
His ERA is good. I mean, he's 4-10, but his ERA is 3.6. So
their offense just stinks. They just can't get him any run support, and that's been the problem this whole year for the Rangers. But much better than Kikuchi, who gives up a ton of runs. The long ball is an issue as well. Walks are a problem. I just don't feel comfortable backing him at this price as a favorite. Rangers are the better team. I know they just swept the White Sox, so really don't know how much we could take out of that series. But I've sworn off the Blue Jays. They're under 500 at home. They don't hit lefties well at all. So I think through the first time through the lineup, first 5 innings, I think the Rangers could keep this one close or even have the lead. So I think Andrew Heaney is the better pitcher. I'm going to back them first 5.
Yeah, I agree with that angle. Heaney's been solid. The issue is they never score for him, but hopefully that does change in this game. Moving on to the next game on the slate, you have the Braves taking on the Mets. I believe neither team played today. Is that accurate?
Yeah.
No, they're going to play. They're going to play at 7, but I'm saying they haven't played yet.
Yeah.
So this will be game 2 of that series. You have Morton going up against Senga, who you probably forgot existed, but Senga's back in the rotation at the right time. Mets are pushing for a wild card spot, so we'll see what happens with this one. However, I have to mention that Senga, though, has not pitched since last year. Of course, he was very good, especially in Citi Field. He was great at Citi Field last year, so we'll see how he does here. Morton, though, has been solid this season, at least for, I'd say, his age at this point, being 40. 5-5, 3.92 ERA. Has been a lot worse on the road, though, with a 4.47 road ERA. Been decent lately. On the road, though, not so much. He has given up 4+ runs in each of his last 2 starts on the road. I think I am going to go with Senga. I don't know how great I feel about it because I don't know how he's going to look. I don't mind the over in this game. I should mention, by the way, the over-under in this game is set at 8 or 8.5. I'll take the 8. I think Senga's fine, but there's too many question marks, and I do think he might get pulled after like 70, 80 pitches.
Mm-hmm.
And the Mets bullpen is still not exactly a strength of this team. I'll go with the over. I can see runs. I am going to the Mets, though.
Real quick, the Padres and Orioles lines just came out. -205 for the Orioles, +172 for the Padres.
Yeah, okay, all right. Give me San Diego.
Yeah, give me the Mets, -110. Coming home after a nice road trip. It was nice to sweep the Yankees, I will say that. But we finally get Kodai Senga back. He looked pretty good in his last few rehab starts. He struck out a lot of batters, not going a ton of innings, only was going 3 to 4 innings. They didn't really want to overwork him too much. But now he gets a Braves team who, we mentioned it yesterday, struggling offensively. They've lost 4 games in a row. They're under 500 on the road, and Mets are just tearing the ball off right now. I agree with the over. I set my total at 8.7, so I love the over. And yeah, it's no more Uncle Charlie. It's Grandpa Charlie. He, like we said yesterday, just doesn't have the luck against the Mets. Mets already crushed him back in the beginning of the season. He's just too consistent. I think this is a bad spot for him. I agree. I think the Mets are going to keep him on a pitch count, maybe 4 to 5 innings. And this bullpen has been taxed. They need a break. They really do. I know we have a 7-game home stand right now, but yeah, this bullpen will allow a few runs, and I think they'll be able to get a few off of Charlie Morton. So yeah, I agree with the over, but I am going to take the Mets. I just think they're in better form right now.
Yep, I agree. Moving on to the next game, you have the Yankees and the Red Sox, and for this one, you have the Yankees favored for some reason. I don't know why. Maybe you can explain it to me. Cortez is pitching against Bayo. So both pitchers not very good, especially Cortez on the road. Yankees, though, -125. The Red Sox are +105. The over-under in this game is set at 9.5. Yeah, give me the Red Sox. Favored. What, are you kidding me? They can't beat anybody. They're the second worst record in the league besides the White Sox for the last month and a half. Yeah, give me Boston.
Yeah, it's literally that simple. It's another home dog for me. I got +108 a little while ago, but yeah, the Yankees are in shambles right now. I mean, I just don't know how they could be the favorite. I truly don't. I made the Red Sox a -115 favorite. I mean, you can't hit with 2 hitters. I mean, a lot of people didn't like the comment, but it's true. I mean, outside of Judge and Soto, no one really in that lineup
Severino's
scares.
right.
And Severino's right. Yeah. So Red Sox, they haven't been playing well either, but they do own the Yankees. They've won 4 of the last 5 meetings between the two clubs. And I think not even just that, this is a fade on Nestor Cortez. I mean, he's been terrible on the road. He gives up the long ball a lot. You can't back him either. Between that and how bad the Yankees have been, I mean, you got to take the Red Sox here. I agree.
I faded Cortez 3 times this season. I think he's given up 1 total run. I just can't figure him out. Like, he is incredible whenever I'll bet against him. And then when I don't, he gets torched every time. Because I don't think Nestor's any good. That's why he relies on a lot of the unique arm angle BS timing stuff, because his actual stuff isn't that great. So he tries to manufacture different looks for hitters, but he's terrible on the road. I don't know if he's like a legitimate starter. You can make an argument that he is, and I'm being too harsh, but anytime your ERA at home is 2.48 and your ERA on the road is 6.04, I'm probably going to end up not trusting you. Was good against the Red Sox, though. Actually, the time I faded him, when he had 6 innings, 1 run, I had the first 5 team total over for Boston. That didn't get there. Point is, though, I'm not a Cortez guy, but I do think that he's going to struggle here. Bayo, I'm not sold on either, but I can't trust the Yankees to hit either. So, I have a hard time leaning to the over. So, Boston team total over.
What are your thoughts on Carlos Rodon? A lot of people, like Yankee fans especially, they don't like the contract. They don't think he's worth all the money that he got. I thought I know he hasn't had the best career, obviously, with the injury, but I think he's been okay in the month of July. I know June was awful for him, but July's kind of been a little better, right?
Well, he picked it up recently, and he shut down the Rays last time out. As for me personally, I like Rodon because I've been taking opponent first 5 team total overs against him for the last month and a half, and I'm 6-1. So I was on a 6-0 streak, and that ended because he shut down the Rays. But I do think that Rodon he's a guy who just leaves too many pitches up in the zone. And he gives up so many home runs, and it's really annoying, especially in Yankee Stadium. Am I a big Rodon fan? No, I'm not. Okay. I don't think he's been as bad. He set the bar pretty low when he gave up, 5 runs against Toronto in the first inning and 4 runs against Tampa in the first inning. He was getting shelled. And then last month, he pitched better, like 6 innings, 3 runs, 5 innings, 3 runs, stuff like that. But I was too busy cashing opponent team total overs that I didn't really care. So I don't mind Rodon because he's helped my bankroll. So that's kind of why I like him. But I don't think he's that great. I'll put it that way. But I will point out he has been objectively better over the last month than he was about 2 months ago.
Yeah, 100%.
So that's the point you're trying to make. But give me Boston. They have been awful too after the break, but I think Boston getting plus money is worth it. Moving on to the Cubs against the Royals. For this one, you have Hendricks going up against Singer. The Royals are -155. The Cubs are plus 130, and the over-under in this game is set at around 9. Weird game. Yesterday for Kansas City, they got hosed with quotation marks around it after the strike him out, throw him out double play to end the game was for naught, as they called it, ball 4. So that was how the Royals ended up losing, because then Marte had to throw in homer later in the inning, and the Royals ended up blowing the game in the ninth. I saw the play. I was fine with it being called a ball. I know it was a strike. I don't know if you saw the play. You know what I'm talking about?
No, I don't. I didn't
It
see
was
it.
one of those classic plays where the pitch is a strike, but it's basically borderline. But the catcher got up to throw to second, and it kind of psyched out the umpire, and he didn't call it.
Oh,
You
wow.
see it all the time. Like
Yeah.
I feel like it's one of those spots where you can argue for robo-umps. I get it, but when the catcher pops up immediately, that does impact a lot of calls. So I'm
100%.
not totally shocked that was called the ball. But the point is, it did ruin the game for Kansas City. For this one, though, Singer's been solid, and Hendricks is a guy who I don't think is very good. He has been better lately, so I'll give him some credit there. But Singer does have a 2.43 ERA at home, and he has given up less than 2 runs in 4 of his last 5 starts. So he's been phenomenal, especially at home. He's given up a total of 2 runs in his last 3 home starts combined. So I like Singer in this one. Hendricks has been better, but he still pitches the contact, and that's not a good combo with this Royals offense, especially at home. Give me Kansas City.
Yeah, the total and I feel like the side are kind of spot on. I guess if you want a nice plus price, maybe the Royals plus -1.5 at plus 138. I do think the Royals have the clear pitching advantage with Singer, how good he has been at home. And like you mentioned, Kyle Hendricks, he did have a nice start on the road against the Cardinals, but overall, I just don't feel like he's been that good on the road and someone I could trust. Don't expect a lot of outings from him either. He doesn't really go all that deep into games. Still don't trust the bats of the Cubs either. Only 7 runs scored this past week. Meanwhile, the Royals, they have a borderline a top 10 offense the way they've been scoring runs. So I think the Royals will tee off here on Hendricks. I think back in the day, I used to love backing Kyle Hendricks at home, but I feel like he's in the tail end of his career. So I'm just going to fade him in the Cubs on the road. I'll take the Royals to bounce back here.
Yep. Moving on to the next game, you have the Dodgers taking on the Astros. Should be a fun series. For this one, you have Stone going up against Valdez. Valdez slight favor -120. Dodgers are even money, and for the over/under in this game, you have 8.5 or 8. Now Valdez has been pretty solid this season, but I feel like he is always in danger of blowing up, and you got to try to. You basically got to hope that he ends up getting out of trouble because he does have guys on base a decent amount of the time. Been decent lately, though, so we'll see how he does in this one. And Houston's been very good in his last couple starts. Houston's actually won 5 straight. So keep that in mind for Valdez. He has gotten some run support, and he has been good enough to get the job done. For Stone, he's been fine this season. At least he's been flying under the radar. 9-3, a 3.19 ERA. Dodgers have been in good form. So is Houston, as Houston's now in first place. For this matchup, though, I think there's value with Houston. Stone has given up 4 runs in 2 of his last 3, has given up 6+ hits in 3 straight starts. Gives up a lot of contact, and Houston at home can definitely capitalize on that. I am going to go with Valdez at, in my opinion, a decent price.
Yeah, I'm going to go with a total for this one. I like the over 8. If you could still find 8s out there at -112. I made my total 8.9. I feel like Dodgers, they finally had their win streak snapped the other night, but they're still scoring a lot of runs. 27 runs scored the past 5 games. Even in their losses, they're able to manage a few runs as well. And Gavin Stone hasn't looked all that good in the month of July. 4+ runs given up in 2 of his 3 starts. So guys are seeing him well. The Astros, really good offense. And not to mention, Dodgers rake against lefties. So I think Valdez is good, but this just might not be a good spot for them. I think we see a shootout here in this game. So I'm going to take the over here.
All right, moving on to the next game. You have the Marlins taking on the Brewers. For this one, the Brewers are -235. Marlins are +195. Your Peralta going up against Rogers, and the over/under into this game is set at around 8 or 7.5. So Peralta this season has been fine. 3.88 ERA, but I feel like he's a pretty streaky pitcher in general. For his recent starts, though, he has been once again streaky. He's been good lately. Ended up giving up no runs against the Twins on the road. Got shelled at home against Washington. Was not good against the Dodgers. Then was good against the Cubs. The point is he's up and down. And at home, he does have a 4.5 ERA, so he has been worse at home than on the road. For Rogers, his record is atrocious because he's 1-9. But I feel like he's gotten better as the season has gone on, and we saw Miami did look a bit feisty against Baltimore in that last series. But Rogers has not gone much length. He has gone less than 6 innings in 4 straight, but he has allowed less than 3 runs in 4 straight. So he should probably go 5, give or take, in this one. I think I might actually lean to Miami for this. I thought they looked fine against Baltimore. I thought were competitive. Munoz is terrible. They still almost came back and won the game. Rogers has been fine. Peralta's been an absolute mixed bag. You really don't know what you're getting. Full box of chocolates vibe. You don't know what you're getting from Peralta any day of the week. So I'm going to lean to Miami, actually. I really don't want to lay 235 with Milwaukee. I might take the first 5.
Yeah, I mean, all the value is going to be with Miami. Like you said, they've been competitive. Another total for me, I'm going to take the 7.5 over. It's a little chalky at -118. Even now at an 8, I see, like you said, 8s are popping up. I still would lean over. My total came out to 8.4. Just like at the recent games for the Fish recently, 7-3 towards the over in their last 10 games. They went over again today, so that's 5 straight games they've gone over. Meanwhile, coming back home, the Brewers, they're averaging 5 runs per game at home, one of the best scoring teams at home. They're 27-16 towards the over in Milwaukee. And like you mentioned, with Peralta, who is struggling, you just can't predict him. Like Nestor Cortez is a guy, like you were saying, that you just can't get right. I can't get Freddie Peralta right at all. So,
well, the thing with Cortez is he's usually bad. I just picked the spots to jinx him into being good. Peralta,
Yeah.
You really have no idea if he's going to be good or bad.
At all. So I think this is a really good spot. We're going to see runs from both sides. And I agree. I think the Marlins, with the way they've been playing, they're going to be competitive. I think the team total, I think we mentioned it yesterday. Was it the White Sox? We mentioned
no, that's what I was actually about to look at, because the White Sox went under against Scherzer. But I think the Marlins team total might actually be 2.5. That's actually what I was about to pull up.
Oh my God. If it's at 2.5, even if it's at 3, I still think they could get over that. So yeah, I was just going to ask if you could look at that, but we're
I'm pulling it up right now. But it's at 7.5 and Milwaukee's -235. It should be 2.5.
It should be, yeah. So I'm gonna pull up ESPN Bet if you don't.
The site's moving pretty slow for me. But point is, it should be 2.5. That was my favorite play in this game. Besides the value on the money line potentially for Miami, I like the team total over 2.5 in this one. Miami has scored 4+ in 5 straight, so that's good enough for me. I'll go with the over there.
It's at 2.5 on ESPN Bet at -130. I'm taking it right now.
I think it's a good deal.
Yeah.
Moving on to the next game, you have the Mariners taking on the White Sox. Blind look under. These teams can't hit. Actually, looking at the actual matchup, though, you have the Mariners using Kirby, and you have the White Sox using Thorpe. Actually, kind of like Thorpe. He's not bad. But you're looking at the money line for Seattle -165, the money line for the White Sox +140. Over under in this game is set at around 7.5. 7.5. It might take 2 games for these teams to combine to score 7.5. Yeah, I'll go with the under. I don't think these teams can score.
Yeah, we talked about this yesterday, Scott. Let's just continue to fade the White Sox. It's a boring play, but -1.5. It's at plus money. If you're still able to get plus money for the Seattle Mariners, I would take it. It's got their 51 games under 500. They've lost 10 in a row. They're not really competitive in any of them. And I know the Mariners, I sent the picture in our group chat last night, but I know they haven't been playing, and their offense is hard to watch sometimes, but you got to imagine they have to win this game. Drew Thorpe, he's been okay, I would say. He's not amazing, but he isn't
for the White Sox
either.
standards. He's worthy of a Cy Young, but he's been fine.
And Kirby, if he pitches one of those gems he's one of those guys that just pitches his heart out, and he's like a Jacob deGrom. He just gets no run support either. But I do think they win this game. They should win this game, even though they're on the road. And I'll take them to win by 2 or more runs. So I think the odds are worth it. Plus 106, I think I see right now. I'll sprinkle a little on the Mariners run line.
Yeah, for reference, by the way, Thorpe's allowed less than 3 runs in 5 straight starts.
Yeah.
So I like the first 5 under. I like the under. Alt under, maybe. Like, I could see this game ending 2-1, 3-2. Or maybe, like, in this case for Seattle, because you have them on the run line.
Yeah,
3-1. Yeah, something
perfect.
like that. But damn, these offenses are awful. I can't take a 7.5. This should be a 7.
7.5s are automatic unders at Seattle home games. It's just an automatic bet at this point.
Yeah, unfortunately, though, this game's in Chicago.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's really sad. You mentioned the stats. I don't have the graphic in front of me. But basically Seattle's pitching is like top 5 or top 10 in everything, and the
Yeah.
offense is like bottom 3 in everything. The entire team is an embodiment of Felix Hernandez's career. Just wasting a bunch of great starts. That's basically
this
how it went.
rotation could win a World Series, Scott. It
It
really
really
could.
Yeah. It's that good. But unfortunately, the offense is not good. At all.
Abysmal. Yeah.
Yeah, it's abysmal. But either way, moving on to the next game, you have the Nationals taking on the Cardinals. For this one, you have the Cardinals as a favorite. Cardinals are currently about minus 146, give or take. I see 160, though, so the big differential between FanDuel and the rest of the market. So around minus 160. Nationals are about plus 135. Over-under in this game is set at around 8 or 7.5. And for the pitching matchup, I see Sonny Gray pitching. Do you see anybody pitching for Washington? Because I'm not sure if it's listed yet.
Yeah, I think it's going to be Mackenzie Gore.
Okay. So Gore's pitching, and with that information, I like the Cardinals because Gore's been horrible for the last couple outings. So given the Cardinals, I do think that Gray, who's been solid for the most part this season, 3.54 ERA, 10-6 record, he has been great at home, 2.14 ERA in Busch Stadium. So I do like that idea. He's been bad lately, giving up 3+ in 4 straight, 5+ in 2 of 3. But I do think he's been in better form than Gore. I think I have to take the over, though, at 7.5, because Gore's been really bad. Gray has not been great lately. I think this number's too low. I'll lean to the over, but I would lean to the Cardinals.
Yeah, I know yesterday I said I like to continue to fade the Cardinals, but I actually think this might be a decent spot for them. I know Sonny Gray has struggled recently, especially on the road, but at home, I think he's backable. And Mackenzie Gore is just not someone I really want to back either. Nationals, they were able to get 5 runs off of him on the road, but Nationals just got no hit today. It's a travel situation for them. I don't trust their offense. They failed to score twice in that series against the Padres, and now going up against Gray, I just think this is a really good spot for the Cardinals. So I agree. I see minus 146, but I also see minus 160s out there as well. So shop around. I was able to see a minus 146, but if that is still at your book, I think that's a reasonable price for the Cardinals.
Yeah, it seems like FanDuel went a bit rogue with the actual price there for the Cardinals. Moving on to the next game, you have the A's taking on the Angels. This was the NBA show. I'd play the toilet sound effect, but unfortunately I don't have that, so we are going to just admit these teams suck. But for the pitching matchup, you have Estes going up against Fulmer. You're looking at the over-under, and the over-under is set at, well, with these pitchers, what is it, like 15.5? No, it's total set at around 9, and the A's are favored on the road. They're minus 134 favorites. I can't believe it. And the Angels are about plus 114 on the money line at home. I think I blindly have to lean to the Angels because I don't think Fulmer's been that bad, but it's mostly on principle. I know Oakland's been better lately. Oakland favored on the road. What are you, out of your mind? Yeah, give me the plus money.
Yeah, that's insane. I'm gonna actually, these last 3 games, I mean, not a ton I love. I can't wait till we get to the point of the season where we don't really have to cap the Athletics or the Angels or the Rockies anymore. But I do lean under 9 for this game. You know, my total came out to 8.5. Majority of the year, both of these teams have been under teams, but just recently the A's, they've been involved in a lot of high-scoring games, but I do think we'll see some offensive regression, I guess you could say, come from them, kind of like what we saw last night. Only 1 run scored against the Astros. I do worry about the Halos bullpen, but outside of that, I think we're going to see a lower-scoring game. Fulmer has been decent. Joey Estes worries me, though. I can't back him either. As a favorite, that worries me a lot. Angels have gone under in 3 straight games as well. So some lower scoring games, I'll take a chance, but nothing too crazy I love in these last 3. So under for me.
Yeah, I think I'm just going to lean to the Angels with plus money. Yeah, I'm not going to bet this game. I got better things to do. Yeah. Moving on to the next game, you have the Pirates taking on the Diamondbacks. You have Ortiz against Gallen. For this one, you have Arizona at minus 172. You have Pittsburgh at plus 144. And the over-under in this matchup is at 8.5. Under. I think Ortiz is actually very solid. And you're looking at Gallen, who was really, really bad after coming off the IL, but he was really good against the Cubs, and I think he regained some confidence. But I think you're looking at a spot where this line just seems too high. I still don't like Pittsburgh's offense. I understand that they have O'Neal Cruz and they have Ryan Reynolds, who's been solid, but You look at the actual depth on that roster, it is non-existent, and the bottom of the order is a joke. So I think that Gallen could actually pitch well here at home. I think Ortiz is good. I know Arizona offensively has been very solid, but I really don't want to lay 172 with Arizona in this matchup. So I'm going to lean to Pittsburgh, but main lean will be the under. I think 8.5 is way too high.
Yeah, this is another tough game for me to handicap. I thought both teams, they are playing well right now, but I do give the pitching advantage to the Snakes with Gallen, especially at home. But like you mentioned, Luis Ortiz hasn't been terrible either. I lean under 8.5. My total came out to 8.2. I think we could actually see a pitcher's duel as well. Maybe first 5 under. Just 2 runs given up in his last 20 innings for Ortiz. Pirates, they've also been in a lot of unders, 8-2 towards the under in their last 10, including 5 straight. I don't trust their offense either, so I agree. I think we're going to see a lower scoring matchup here, under 8.5 for me as well.
Yep, and moving on to the last game on the card, you have the Rockies taking on the Giants. Rockies scored about 5,000 runs yesterday. Giants did well against the Dodgers bullpen. They scored 8 in that game, where they ended up winning. For this matchup, though, you have Freeland against Harrison. You have the Giants at around minus 180. You have the Rockies at around plus 150. For the over-under in this game, I'm assuming it. I thought it'd be at 7.5. It's at 8. Freeland has been really, really good since coming off the IL, and his overall numbers this season might make you think that he sucks. And you're not wrong, because he was really bad for the first couple months. However, since coming off the IL, he has made 5 appearances. He's allowed less than 2 earned runs in all 5 starts. And he's gone at least 6 innings in all 5 starts. He's been really, really good. As for Harrison, he was also on the IL, not exactly as long as Freeland, but he was on the IL, and he has been fine since coming back. The issue is he goes not much length, which can be a problem with this Giants bullpen. But to go through his numbers, he allowed 1 run in his last 2 starts combined, and he's made 3 appearances coming off the IL. Cleveland shelled him, and then he had the 2 really good outings against Colorado and against Minnesota. I like the under. I can't believe this line's at 8. The Giants can't hit. I know they scored 8 runs yesterday because Ramirez out of the bullpen just was awful. But the Giants offensively, I don't think are very good. You have the Rockies, who on the road, we know are never good offensively. Freeland's been great. Harrison's been good lately. Give me the under. I don't see many runs in this game. I see the Giants winning like 4-2.
Yeah, hopefully that's the correct score, because I'm going to take a little shot here. This game wasn't really something I'm not going to be betting on. I do think the Giants should be the favorite, but I can't take them on the money line. Total seems spot on.
Freeland is so misleading, though, with his season-long numbers.
I know. If you just look at his game log and it says over a 10 ERA or over a 9 ERA, that's the beginning of the season. Like you said, coming back off of IR, both pitchers actually have been pretty decent recently, but I'm going to take the Giants minus 1.5 at plus 125. Nothing really I loved in this game, but to get plus money, we talk about how bad the Giants are and how you and I are really not high on them. At home, I think they are kind of competitive and they play decent at home, 29-22 straight up. While the Rockies, they just can't hit for anything when they go away from Coors, 14-36 straight up away from Colorado. So I'm going to back Harrison and the Giants here. I do think, I guess, recency bias from yesterday. I think the offensive performance kind of made me like the minus 1.5. I do think they'll be able to outscore the Rockies here. And if it isn't against Freeland, it's going to be against that bullpen. That's what worries me at taking the under. These bullpens are awful, both of them.
Yeah, I think the one prop I would like in this game, depending on what the outs prop is, what the number is, I like Freeland over for outs. He's been he's just been a solid innings eater for the last month. So we'll see what happens there, but I am going to lean to the under in that one. Moving on to the lock and dog picks. Before we officially get into our picks, do want to remind you once again that we are brought to you by Rhythm, because Rhythm can help you with your player props. If you're not checking out the AI props and picks from Rhythm, you're missing out. They dominated the British Open in golf, and their college football product's about to drop. You can even customize your own betting models easily using Rhythm's tools. Claim your 7-day free trial by going to sportscampodcast.com, rhythmsportscampodcast.com/RITHMM. We're also brought to you by Circa Survivor and Circa Million. Circa Sports is back with Circa Survivor and Circa Millions, giving away $16 million in guaranteed prizes. Imagine the regret you'll feel if you win your Office Survivor pool but didn't enter Circa Survivor. Don't have a trip booked yet for Las Vegas before football? All the this weekend's a great time to go. Hang out with Ryan and Sean and enjoy some of the open bar event at the World's Best Sportsbook from August 22nd through the 24th. Use promo code SGP15 to save 15% off your hotel room for sign-up weekend. There's a solid deal there. Sign up in person at Circus Sports between now and September 7th and use a proxy to play from anywhere. We even have a deal with footballcontestproxy.com. Save you $50 with promo code SGP. Welcome back, everyone, to the Tennis Game Podcast, just to the MLB Gambling Podcast, Force of Habit. Looking into the actual lock and dog picks for the show. Covered a lot of games, 15 of them to be exact. Dylan, I'm going to ask you, what is your lock and dog pick for the show?
Yeah, so for my lock, I was going back and forth with it, but why not? I'm going to take the Mets here with Kodai Senga back. I know it's risky taking first guy coming back off since haven't been really pitching since last year. Just think the Mets are red hot right now. I think they're going to be able to get to Charlie Morton. And at this price, even though he's probably going to be on pitch restriction, I still like the Mets here at home. I think they keep it rolling. So I'm going to take the Mets here. Gave a lot of plus money out. Gave some home dogs that I kind of liked. Tigers plus 150 I thought had some value in it. I think you're taking the Fish. I think that's a really good price as well. But, I mean, are the Red Sox still underdogs?
Yeah, they're
right now?
plus 105.
It's small, but I'll take it. I mean, they don't deserve to be the underdog at home against Nestor Cortez, who I just want no
He's
parts
terrible
of.
on the road.
He's just terrible. I was trying to say it nicely, but yeah, he's just not good. So I'm gonna fade him and the Yankees and gonna take the Red Sox as my dog.
I think my usual cutoff is an ERA of 5+, but 6+ is a sign that you really, really don't know what you're doing. So that's been Cortez on the road. For my lock, there are a lot of unders I actually liked on the card. Thought about the Marlins team total over, but I think I'm actually going to go elsewhere because there is a chance Peralta can be decent. That's the problem. That's the mystery bag. You don't know what you're going to get. So maybe he pitches well. I'm not going to bother. I think for this one, I actually am going to go back to the White Sox game. Give me the under at 7.5 between Kirby and Thorpe. 7.5, really? Like, these teams are awful offensively. The White Sox, we mentioned before, kept having team totals of 2.5. They kept scoring 1. They can even go over. The Mariners have scored less than 3 runs in, let me do this, 3 straight, 3-1, 4-1, 5-1, 6-1, 7-1. 7 out of their last 8 games, they scored less than 3 runs. And the White Sox can't either. 7.5, Thorpe's been good. He's given up less than 3 runs in 5 straight. I'll go with the under. I think 7.5 is too high of a total. I think Kirby can pitch well, and that'll be my lock for the show. For the dog, there were 2 that I was torn with. One was potentially Miami, because they're going to be a massive dog. 2 was, of course, San Diego. And you said that you saw lines on San Diego. I do see plus 172 on FanDuel.
Yeah.
I got to take it. That's an absurd price. I understand that San Diego is traveling, and so is Baltimore, but Rodriguez has been solid for the most part. King might be pitching. He's been incredible. So if you get King on the mound, this line's going to plummet because King's been great. But Baltimore has not been good for the last week and change, and I'm not going to overreact to them beating the Marlins in extras after almost blowing a multiple-run lead in that game. San Diego at plus 172 is just a bonkers price. Give me San Diego at plus 172 as my dog on principle. Anyway, before we officially wrap up the show, we have home run picks. Dylan, I'm going to let you go first. What is your home run pick for the episode?
Yeah, so for my dinger, I am going to go back to that Red Sox and Yankee game. I'm going to take your guy you talked about yesterday, Rafael Devers, to hit a home run against Nestor Cortez. Rafael Devers, he owns the Yankees. He's the Yankee killer. 14 at-bats against Nestor Cortez. 2 home runs in his career against him. And Cortez has given up at least 1 home run in 5 straight games in 8 of his last 10 starts. He just leaves the ball up there. The long ball has been an issue for him all season. Devers, he hasn't hit a home run since the All-Star break, but I do think this might be a good spot to get number 24. So, yeah, give me Rafael Devers to hit a home run.
I think the one reason why I stayed away from Devers is because he hits so many more homers against righties than lefties.
Righties, yeah.
So that's kind of why. But then again, Cortez will probably go 3-4 innings anyway. So I don't know if it actually matters. But yeah, that's kind of why I'm staying away from Devers. But I like the idea of fading Cortez. There should be runs in that game. So I definitely don't mind that angle. Was thinking about somebody on Kansas City, but Hendricks has actually been okay lately. I feel like Kikuchi's going to give up a couple, but I can't stand the Texas offense. Like, at all. But he does give up a ton of home runs. I have to quickly look at the actual numbers head-to-head wise against the Rangers, just to see if there's anybody that I can't consider. Adolis has been so bad. You know what? I think I'll go with the guy that's been in good form lately for the Rangers. Give me Marcus Semien, who I think can actually do pretty well here. He has a home run in his career against Kikuchi, but you're looking at his numbers recently. He's had a hit in 4 straight, at a homer against the White Sox on Monday. And I want to quickly pull up his splits righty-lefty. He's batting .304 against lefties. I do think he's in line for a decent showing here. Kikuchi, though, should give up at least one. And I do think that Semien is in line for a lot of at-bats based on where he's positioned in the order. Give me Marcus Semien as my home run pick for Friday. Dylan, before we officially end it, anything else you want to add?
No, we're just about 42 days away from NFL season. I just can't wait for that. But hopefully we gave you guys some winners, and definitely going to be a new crew tomorrow. I'm not on.
Yeah, I think I am on with Lonte because I think I usually do the Fridays. But either way, though, until next time, find me on Twitter at Reichel Radio. Find him on Twitter at Rock with 2 Ks 24. A reminder that we have the MLB show on again tomorrow. I have a tennis show on tonight after sweeping the card on Thursday. NBA show at 10 o'clock tonight. We are doing Olympic men's basketball coverage. We're going to preview the futures for the upcoming Olympics starting on Saturday, actually. So keep that in mind. Besides that, the Olympics started technically yesterday. Team USA still sucks at soccer. Until next time, good luck to all of you and all of your bets. Bye, everyone.